All right, we're going to come back to the penguin in a second here, but what I'm going to do is just open a new one for the moment and talk a little bit about the shape builder tool. And we can do that. So I'm just going to create a bunch of basic shapes. Let me just put a fill on it here. Sure, red. And I'm just going to draw something like that. I thought I had let me just make that. There we go. Let me draw another shape. And so the idea is that there's a little bit of intersection going on here. So maybe an ellipse. Hold shift to make it a perfect circle. Again, it doesn't really matter here. And maybe I'll do a star as well, since we all love stars. Okay, so I've just sort of put a bunch of shapes in there. Now, the shape builder tool is kind of an interesting one where you can sort of combine things together. Now, actually, before I do all that, let me just highlight all of them, turn off the stroke so it's a little bit easier to see here. Well, no, actually, let me make it a black stroke. That will make it actually easier to see. Whoops. Okay, there we go. So now we've got all the distinct shapes there. So what we can do with the shape builder tool is kind of combine things. And so what we can do, let me just find it here, shape builder, this is this guy here, okay? And so you can see that little preview, you can drag it and sort of create some sort of shape that's like an amalgam of all of them. So they're trying to make a cloud, they put, 4 ellipses together, and then they just drag them together to make that. Now, I'm not making anything in specific here, but I could, oops, make sure I grab that tool, click, and then drag, and you can kind of see, oops, let me try this again. Do I have something locked here? Let me try again. Oh, I think the trick is you do have to select everything first. There we go. Then use that shape builder tool. So then you can start to see the different shapes that are kind of available to me. So depending on the intersection, I used to always talk about the Pathfinder tool. It's very similar. It's just like a sort of a simplified Pathfinder tool there, right? So if you wanted to make a shape, right, you could do sort of this and it creates that. And you can see it lost all those lines. And then I don't know, I could make this. Well, I guess that's just going to make the star. I could make this kind of shape or whatever it is. But now, oops, I have separate shapes based on the intersection and so on, right? I don't know if I pulled that. Yeah. In fact, I can start to sort of pull things apart here into their components based on that shape maker. Okay, so that's kind of the idea with that. A nice thing about it too is you could just sort of Control Z to go back a little bit. Okay, a nice thing about this as well is if you wanted to, so once you've used that shape builder tool, zoomed in here, you could select an area and then you could make that part of it a different color, right? So even though it's kind of combined together, you can now go ahead and make those different colors. Obviously, you can drag something, and if you didn't want this anymore, so click on that and hit delete. I guess there's still one in there, right? You can sort of separate it out and sort of have different points there. All right. So that's kind of the idea with the Pathfinder tool, right? It just sort of gives you a little bit of an ability to do things. So what we're going to do here is just sort of work on some shadows here. So I'm going to go back to the penguin and we're going to change the eye a little bit. So we're going to make it almost like a crescent. So I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to draw a circle and I'll make it black here. So let me just do that. Shift, make it a perfect circle. And then I'm going to draw another circle on top. So I'm going to take, switch it to white, I guess. Oops, cancel. I guess I could have just done this here. There's white. Whoops. I often do that. I've got it selected, so I need to make sure I go off of it. Select a circle. So what I'm just doing here is sort of intersecting the two. I've got a gray, but that's going to be fine. Okay, so I've got those two. What I want to do is basically remove this one on top. So I just want to make sure that's reasonably located. I think that's okay. Just zoom in there. So what I could do there is make sure both are selected and grab my tool here. Now I think if I do the Alt key, I can actually get rid of those. So right away, I can just get rid of it, right? So that actually removed the shape, and there we go. So now I've got my little eye. I think I wanted it a little bit more this way. Oops. There we go. But there we are, really nice and straightforward. I'm also going to join up the eye and this into one shape, so I'm just going to extend this up a bit. I notice this is over here a little bit. I think that's better. Okay, so these two I just want to have as two or one shape. So I'm just going to do that. Take my builder tool, again, my shape builder, and just drag across. And there we go. So really, really easy to sort of combine those shapes there. I'm just going to put a little bit of a shadow, I think, on the nose and the arm here. So what I'm going to do is grab this tool. I'm going to just go across sort of like that. To preserve that angle, I'm just going to grab this Alt. Whoops, I grabbed the wrong one. Whoops, where did that line go? Let me go back and redo that line. I just Control Z because I realized I didn't have a stroke on it. If you're doing a line, it's good to have a stroke. Oops, I'm really messing up here. Let me just make sure nothing's selected. Okay, so change the whatever. Let's just do it as a blue. It doesn't really matter. And then stroke. And so like I said, I want to have that same angle. So I'm going to use the selection tool, Alt, and just drag it over onto this one as well. And then so what I'll do next, well, let's just do it on the nose. So hold Shift and Shift. Okay, I'm going to use the Shape Builder tool. So sorry, this thing flashes when it's doing this. I'm going to grab that. So this is a different shape. I can actually, if I hold down the Alt key, I can get rid of this, and I shouldn't have a stroke there, I don't think anymore. Yep. But now what I can do is I can grab that, and I'm just going to make it a grayish color. So maybe something like that. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. So again, hold Shift, get that, and that. Shape Builder tool. This is going to be a new one. That's interesting. It got rid of the color there, but that's okay. I think we'll do. I'll just hold Alt down and get rid of that and that because I still see it there. So I'm just going to select. I seem to have lost that. Let's just try this again. So with the Shape Builder tool on, now it still says it's there. It's interesting that this is sort of disappearing. Let me just see here. There we go. Okay, so this guy here, we can do that same gray. If we've lost that gray and we want the same one, if when you click on that color palette, when you click on that color palette, let me click off here for a second. Okay, there's that one. There's that one. Okay, now I should be able to grab the color picker. Not quite doing what I wanted it to do. Basically, I want this color, right? So let me click on that first. So there it is there. Keep losing it because it's a gradient. So I guess I'll have to do this and that. There we go. So just using that color picker, selecting that, and then picking that one there. Okay. Anything else I wanted to do? I guess sort of putting a little bit of a shadow. So my idea is just sort of offset it and then sort of duplicating it and then sort of creating this shadow here. So it's a little bit of a tricky thing. Let me just bring this over. So let me try here. I just basically want You can see this is the original, and then I've got this one sort of shifted over a little bit just to create that shadow. So good, and then shadow in there we can do. So it looks like I've got this duplicated and then sort of moved it back. So let me see here. So then let's see. So first we'll make a shadow of the back. Okay, this is a bit more complex. First combine the tail and the back black part of the body. Okay, so we'll drag those two together. So let's see if we can do that. Might run out of time here, but let's just see. So I'm going to take this, and then we'll use our shape builder. Okay, so that's one shape. So I've got that. I should be able to hold Alt on that and move it over a little bit, which is there. Okay, so that's it there. I've got that. So offset it and so change the color and remove the front part. Just trying to figure out what I did here. Then remove the front part. Okay, so I've got this here. Let's just change the color. Sort of a grayish color. I guess really probably I could use my tool and choose the same one here. Now this one's going in front. I want that one in sort of behind. So I think what I'll do is I will take this. Should go all the way to the back. Just make sure. Okay, a little bit further down perhaps. There it is. Yeah, I think that's roughly what we want. I do have this unseemly line here, so it's not coming from that. I guess this one has a stroke. No, it doesn't have a stroke, so just bring this over. Now the problem is it's jumping ahead a little bit. I guess it's because I have that original color underneath there. I'm going to leave it for the moment, but that's looking, I think, kind of what I want. Yeah, there's a few little spots here that could be improved, like for example here on this path. So I could go with that direct selection tool and just sort of round things out a little bit. I'm just trying to get that. I think it's doing all of it there. I just rounded that corner, and I could do the same thing here. Just round that corner. Yep, that's not too bad. Like I said, there's this little gap here, but it's really not noticeable because there's no line. So I think we can leave it like that. Good. All right. So what you'll be trying to do is create your own little simple character. And so I've got these geometric animals as examples. So you could try to build your own, see if you can create any of these, or if you've got some idea, create your own. But you should be able to, with what we've learned, do something very similar and get a pretty good result from it. Good luck with that.